So this week we only have 1 hour for the class. Yeah? Should we have quiz or new chapter?
New chapter.
Why, Martin?
New chapter is a good idea, sir.
Okay, you're not ready yet for the quiz? For the
No, sir, we would like to learn more.
Okay, so I think if we were to make the quiz, it will require more than 1 hour, yeah? Because the 3 or 4 questions, if I give you only 1 hour, you will not be able to finish everything. So yeah, the quiz will be done maybe next week in a make-up class, maybe on the same day, Wednesday, because yesterday we had holiday, national holiday. Okay, so in the textbook, this is usually, it is written actually before the what do you call it, the chapter on Thevenin and Norton's theorem. Okay, but I decided to introduce first the superposition, linearity, Norton and Thevenin theorem before the operational amplifier, because those are the basic theories which I think all of you will need to solve the circuit analysis, as well as the other students, yeah, from SEE and PCE, even though they only learn until superposition. So operational amplifier is more towards application already, yeah, where specific components, basically this is new components developed after the advent of integrated circuit in the 1970s. So where normally previously people use transistor, yeah, to develop amplifier, and then when it can be integrated, then they develop this kind of component, operational amplifier, for developing a more compact amplifier, filters, comparators, and many other various circuits. Okay. So why do we study operational amplifier at this point? Because op-amps are very useful electronic components. So many biomedical instrumentation use op-amps at the various parts of the stages of the instrumentation. At the front end, yeah, as a pre-amplifier, and then as the main amplifier, then as filters to filter out noises which we don't have, which we don't want, and at the back end also in the analog digital conversion, it actually uses op-amp. And then DAC, the digital to analog conversion, also uses op-amp. So like this, many of the devices related to signal processing uses op-amps, especially in the analog domain. So we have already the tools to analyze practical circuits using op-amps, nodal analysis, loop analysis, and you are equipped more with superposition. What else? Linearity theorems, Thevenin's, and Norton's theorem. The linear model for op-amps include dependent sources. Okay. So this is how typically how it looks like. In the history of op-amps, previously before 1970s, before the development of integrated circuit, op-amps are made as this kind of big printed circuit board, yeah, consisting of transistor. These are transistor with resistors and capacitors. And then now, many of them are built and sold as this kind of packaging. This is LM324 in dual inline packaging, yeah, DIP packaging. DIP stands for dual inline packaging because consists of 2 rows of legs. This one even smaller, LMC6294, and even now it is not uncommon to see very small op-amps like this, Max 4040. So very small footprint that you need even specific tools to attach it to any printed circuit board. Okay, so even one single chip like this can consist of 4 devices, like drawn here. So this is for LM324 here. It consists of 4 operational amplifier options. Each of them requires 3 legs, 3 terminals. The input, the inverting input, and non-inverting input. Negative here stands for inverting input, that goes to the negative. And non-inverting input, the positive part. And then 1 terminal for the output. And they are all, these 4 are supplied using the same power supply here, TEE and VCC. This is how it looks like from the side. Okay, this is the distance between the legs are 0.1 inch. The height is 0.04 inch. And this is when we look into the inside of a big circuit, I think, consisting of various op-amp. So the circuit symbol for operational amplifier showing power supplies. So here we have in plus and in negative. In plus stands for non-inverting input and in negative for inverting input. And then it has 1 output terminal. And it is supplied using usually a symmetrical power supply. So the VCC here is supplied using positive power supply. And here is with a negative voltage power supply. So the negative terminal of the VCC is connected to the positive terminal of the VEE, and they are all connected to the ground, to the reference node. Yeah. Otherwise, it can be drawn like this, VCC, and then the VEE just drawn like this. So in terms of linear model, if from based on what we have learned so far using resistor and sources, independent of dependent sources, the linear model for op-amp is like this. So this is the non-inverting input connected to an input impedance Ri, okay, and then this Ri connected to the to the inverting input terminal. Oh, sorry, yeah, the non-inverting input terminal. And there is this ground part, yeah, negative part, and at the output, it is a voltage dependent voltage source with an amplification gain A0 or AO, sorry, A output amplification gain. It amplifies the input voltage here across the input impedance between the non-inverting terminal plus and the inverting terminal. So the output comes out from here. This output terminal is in this terminal, which has a output voltage VOT relative to the ground or relative to the reference node. Between the output terminal and the dependent voltage source here, there is a output impedance or output resistance RO. Okay, so this is how you analyze operational amplifier. This is how it looks like. Of course, inside it is more complex, but this is the model if you put it into a circuit. This is the input resistance Ri. This is the output resistance Ro. AO is the gain. So typical values in operational amplifier components, the Ri is from hundreds of thousands of kilo ohm to tera ohm, giga, tera. After giga is tera, right? To thousands of giga ohm, 10 to the power of 12 ohm. It means the input resistance is very high. Later we will study what will be the implication of this very high value of input impedance or input resistance. Output resistance here, on the other hand, is very low, almost close to 0 ohm. 0 ohm basically is short circuit, right? But it still has some values, 1 ohm until 50 ohm. the impedance itself ideally is very high, infinity, but usually in typical values in any components of op-amp is hundreds of kilo ohm until tens of mega ohm. Okay, 10 to the power of 5 until 10 to the power of 7. So when we connect the input of the operational amplifier, this is how we model them. As well as the output, we connect it with a load. So the input itself, the left part can be modeled as a Thevenin equivalent circuit, yeah, consisting of a source independent source voltage, the Thevenin equivalent independent source, as well as the Thevenin equivalent resistor connected to this input impedance Ri, yeah, to this Ri input impedance or input resistance Ri through the non-inverting and the inverting input terminals of the op-amp. Then this value V in T is being amplified. This AO, the gain, times the V in, connected to the output impedance or output resistance. Then that output resistance is connected to a load RL, which this form the output voltage. So this table lists some of the value of AO and RI and RO of the operational amplifier, typical operational amplifier made by different manufacturers. So National Semiconductor LM324 has a gain of 100,000 with input resistance or input impedance 1 mega ohm, output resistance is 20 ohm. This can be used as general purpose operational amplifier up to plus minus 16 volt supply and very cheap. Another type by the same manufacturer, LMC6492, has a 50,000 gain with input impedance of 10 mega ohm, output impedance is 150 ohm. It is low voltage rail-to-rail inputs and outputs. Maxim manufacturer produce Max 4240, the very small op-amp that we just saw in the previous slides. Yeah. It has a 20,000 gain, 45 mega ohm input impedance, so very high, and 160 ohm output resistance, output impedance. It is micro power. The output supply, the power supply is 1.8 volt, so low power, and at 10 microampere. Apex produces PA03 with 125,000 gain. Input resistance is 100,000 mega ohm, so 100 giga ohm, with output resistance of 2 ohm. Okay. So the left part here from the circuit that is connected to the op-amp is called as the driving circuit. This is the load, and the op-amp itself is this one, yeah, the part which is encircled in red. The input resistance or input impedance Ri, and then the amplifier inside that op-amp, represented by this gain with this voltage dependent voltage source with a gain of AO and connected to output impedance RO. Then these are connected to the load. So this graph shows some transfer plot for some commercial op-amps. So this one for LM324, a different input voltage. This is the output voltage. So below 100 minus 150 input voltage, the output voltage will be constant at negative 15 volt. Above 150 volt also will be constant at around 13 volt, 12 to 13 volt. This one is LMC 6492 at 5 volt. The brown one is Max 4240 at 1.5 volt. And this part is for the same, yeah, LM324 at plus minus negative 15. This brown max 4240 and the yellow is PA03 at plus minus 75 volt. The dash one is LMC 6492 plus minus 5 volt. So each of these op-amp has different gain. That's what we can say about them. And usually we operate them in the linear region. You don't operate them beyond this threshold and or below this threshold, because that will be the saturation region where there is no effect of increasing the input voltage anymore. So, for example, here identify the saturation region. The saturation region is where the output doesn't change with the change of the input. So here, when the input already in above 1 volt, no further change, it will be just minus 4 volt output voltage. Below 1 volt again, then it will have change again. Below, when the input is below negative 1, here, negative 1, the output saturates also at 3 volt. Then after it goes above minus 1 volt, then it starts to return again the output. So this is what we have here. So this is the op-amp in saturation. When you are using or choosing any op-amp for your particular circuit design, please do not forget to read the datasheet and look at where it will have saturation region. So you should avoid operating the op-amp at the saturation region. Okay, so this is one type of the application of op-amp is as a unity gain buffer. What is a unity gain buffer? A unity gain buffer means an amplifier with amplification gain 1. Basically, it's not amplified, just being transferred. Why do we need unity gain buffer? This is sometimes needed because when you have long wire, sometimes the voltage will drop because the wire itself has some resistance. There will be voltage drop along that wire due to the inherent resistance of the wire. To avoid that, the signal has to be amplified but at one gain, a gain of 1. So then the V output will be equal to the V input. So here we are connecting a source voltage Vs plus to the non-inverting part of the op-amp, and the inverting input is being connected to the output part. So this is what we call as a negative feedback. Why negative? Because the output is being fed back to the inverting input terminal, which is negative terminal. And then what will be the effect of this Vs on the V output? What is V out if we express it as a function of Vs? So we use the model, the linear circuit model, as we have learned in the previous slide, as this is. So the Vs will be the driving circuit connected to the internal input impedance or input resistance of the op-amp here. And the negative part here, since it is connected to the output here, and this negative part is connected to the output part, the output. And we know that inside the op-amp itself, it contains a voltage-dependent voltage source with a gain of AO times the Vin connected to an output impedance or output resistance RO. So here we can analyze, for example, here using loop analysis. Okay, in this loop, minus Vs plus I times Ri plus Ro times I, then plus AO times Vin, voltage drop here, okay, equals to 0. second loop is this part. So here negative V output plus here, yeah, from this counterclockwise negative V output plus RO times I plus AO times V in equals to 0. Okay. So the control variable here is that the V in equals to I times Ri, Ri times I. Solving for both equation. So V output over V in will be equals to 1 over 1 plus Ri divided by Ro plus AO Ri. Okay, from this part. So the ratio between the V output to the V source is called as the buffer gain. Okay. So when the AO here equals or reaches infinity, it means very large. So ideally, an ideal op-amp should have very large gain, very large gain. But however, in reality, yeah, the value, as you have seen in the table in the previous slide, hundreds of thousands or million, 1 million, something like that, but not infinity. So here, from here, then we obtain, since in reality the AO still have some value, not infinity. So this is what we have then in LM324, the buffer gain here 0.999, in LMC6492 will be 0.998. Yeah, this value. Then the max 4240 is 0.9995. Okay. So let's study now the characteristic of ideal op-amp, which later we will be using these characteristics to analyze any circuits containing op-amp. So here we have the non-inverting terminal having a voltage V plus and a current flowing through it I plus, and the inverting terminal negative with a voltage VA, V negative, with the current flowing through it I negative, I minus. So ideally, the output resistance or output impedance should be 0. The RO should be 0. So no resistance here. Okay. In the previously, there is, in the model, there is a resistance, but ideally should be 0. And Ri between this terminal, between plus and negative here, there is an Ri, right? So let me draw again. So this is the model, right? The model here, and there is a model here between the positive and negative terminal. So this is Ri, and this is Ro. So ideally Ro should be 0 and Ri should be infinity. So that A also, the gain will be also infinity. What happens if it is infinity in ideal op-amp? That Ri here infinity, there's I plus here and there is I minus, and all are grounded, and there is gain here. The gain is amplifying or multiplied to the difference, yeah, because the V across this Ri will be equals to the V plus minus V minus. Okay, so here the V output here will be equals to A times V plus negative V minus. But there is a voltage drop on the RO. Ideally, this should be 0. If there is no RO or RO equals to 0, the V out here will be equals to A times V plus negative V minus. So if RO equals to 0, here equals 0, yeah, the voltage output VO will be equals to A, the gain multiplied to the difference between the non-inverting voltage and the inverting voltage. The gain multiplied to V plus minus V minus. If Ri is infinity, okay, Ri infinity is basically similar to open circuit, right? It is disconnected. What does it mean? So there is no current flowing through this circuit, right? So it will mean I plus is 0, I minus is also 0. So if Ri equals, this is an ideal op-amp, if Ri equals to infinity, so I plus will be equal to I minus equals to 0. No current flowing through this wire into the op-amp at all. So when the amplified gain A is infinity, it will also imply that V plus the voltage here will be equals to the voltage minus. The voltage at the positive terminal or non-inverting terminal will be equals to the voltage at the negative terminal or or inverting terminal. Okay, because why is it like this? Here the output equals to the difference between V plus and V minus. So A equals to V output divided by V plus minus V negative. If A is infinity, it means that V plus minus V minus basically approaches 0. Okay, so it means V plus basically is almost the same as V minus. So if it is 0 here, so this V output divided by 0, the value of A will be infinity. Okay, so this is the origin why if in ideal op-amp, if A is infinity, then V plus will be equal to V minus. Okay, quite clear. Okay, in the unity gain buffer assumption, for the unity gain buffer ideal op-amp assumption, the output is connected to the inverting terminal, the negative terminal. So here V plus will be equal to Vs, right? This is the same, it's one node basically. V minus here will be equal to V plus, okay, because in ideal op-amp the gain is infinity, so that's why V plus equals to V minus. From here we know that since this node, this terminal is connected to the output, so it means V output will be equals to V minus. But V minus is equal to V plus, and V plus is equal to Vs. So V output equals to Vs. Okay, understood until here? Any questions? No questions, yeah? Quite clear, yeah? Ready for op-amp short quiz? Okay.
Very clear, sir.
So can I
Sir,
give
can you go back to the previous slide?
the previous slide? So circle unclear. Or you pretend not clear. So we can explain.
No, I really don't understand.
Which part?
What is V plus? What is V minus exactly?
V plus is the potential at the non-inverting terminal of the op-amp. The potential that is given to the non-inverting terminal, the plus terminal of the op-amp. V minus is the potential or the voltage applied to the inverting terminal. Inverting here means negative terminal of the op-amp. This is the symbol, right? The circuit model is like this. Yeah, remember the model is an input impedance or input resistance, and then the second block is a voltage dependent voltage source whose value is a gain A multiplied to the difference between V plus and V minus. Okay. In short, basically an op-amp is an amplifier. That's why it's called operational amplifier. Amplifier whose output amplifies the difference between the two terminals, the two input terminals, the difference. Yeah. So V plus, negative, V minus. V output equals to A here, the gain multiplied to the difference between the V plus and V minus. Understand? So this is a type of operation, an amplifier. Amplifier that amplify the difference between the two inputs. Here, input plus and input negative. Input plus is the input voltage to the plus terminal, or we call it non-inverting terminal. Input minus is the input voltage or input to the negative terminal or inverting terminal. There is a voltage, there is a input voltage, and there is input. There is also input current. Okay. Anything else, Martin? Martin, ya tadi. The one that asked.
No, that's Nikki, sir.
Oh, Nikki. Okay.
So the last one,
The last one, yeah? The last slide.
the last one that you explained is negative feedback.
Yes, negative feedback, because why? The
The output
is
is
connected to the
negative
negative
inverse.
terminal or inverting terminal. So normally in op-amp terms, we don't call it positive negative terminal. We just call it non-inverting for positive and inverting for negative terminals. So when this is connected to the negative part, this is what we call a negative feedback circuit of op-amp. And when we don't put any resistor here, no resistor here, the gain in this circuit will be 1. So V output will be equals to Vs. Why? According to this ideal op-amp assumption, yeah, that Ro is 0, so that V output equals to A. So here V output equals to A times V plus V minus V minus. Since Ro is 0, see, Ro is short circuited. If in reality there is Ro in real op-amp, although small, very small. So there is, in reality, there is a voltage drop. So it means V output equals to this minus Ro times the current, yeah, some output current. But ideally, in this course, we deal with circuit with ideal op-amp. So ideally, Ro is 0. So no voltage drop across this wire. So V output equals to A times the difference between V plus and V minus. Ri in ideal op-amp is infinity. So it means basically this is short circuit, open circuit, yeah. Open circuit, yeah, no wire there in Ri because it is infinity. What does it mean? The I plus here equals to the I minus equals to 0. No current flowing through here, right? Because this is cut, no wire, because Ri is infinite. This is again ideal op-amp. Then the last assumption in ideal op-amp is yes.
The first picture is the same with the second picture. So
Which
the
one?
triangle part is what part?
The triangle part
second
is
picture.
so the triangle part shown here is this part. The op-amp part is this part, yeah. This is the op-amp part. This is op-amp. So this is the driving circuit. Driving circuit. And this is the load circuit. Okay. So the op-amp here shown in this part, this model. If A is infinity, in ideal op-amp, only in ideal op-amp, in non-ideal op-amp, real op-amp is just very big, mega ohm, something like mega. Yeah, its gain, non-dimensionless parameter gain is in mega or 100,000 times, something like this. So if A is infinity, it means that from this equation, yeah, A equals to V output divided by V plus minus V minus. If A infinity, if A is infinity, it means V plus minus V not minus is approaching 0, right? Very small. If the difference between V plus and V minus is very small, A is infinity. Yeah, it means V plus almost equals to V minus. This is the third assumption in ideal op-amp. So throughout this chapter, you will be using these three assumptions to solve your circuit problem, any circuit problem related to op-amp. Okay, I hope it's clear. So from here, from that three assumption in ideal op-amp, since the negative terminal or inverting terminal is connected to the output, V plus here equals to V minus, okay, based on the ideal op-amp. V plus here equals to Vs first, yeah. Then V minus here will be equal to the V plus because of the ideal op-amp assumption, the third one. It means V minus here equals to Vs, right? Since this negative terminal is connected to the output, it means that V minus is equal to the V output. V output equal to the V minus, which means V output equal to the V plus, which means V output equals to the Vs. Got it? So this cascading logic, yeah. So like this, yeah. V plus equals to Vs. This is from the ideal op-amp assumption. V minus will be equal to V plus, and this is from this connection wire, yeah. So V output will be equals to V minus. So since V minus equals to V plus and V plus equals to Vs, it means V output equals to Vs. This is what we call as unity gain buffer with ideal op-amp assumption. But in reality, it is not one. Yeah? It is not one. The gain is not one. Yeah, V output in this unity gain buffer in ideal op-amp assumption, V output divided by Vn equals to 1. But in reality, as we have read in the previous slide, 0.995, 0.9998, depending on the op-amp component manufacturer. If we use the linear, the non-ideal op-amp model in the previous that we have derived in the previous slide, this one, yeah, this is the actual model, right? The buffer gain V output over Vs equals 1 over 1 plus Ri divided by Ro plus AO Ri. So if A output gain is infinity, so this basically equals to, these terms equal to 0. Yeah, and then it means V output divided by Vs equals to 1, right? But since in reality V output is not 1, AO is not infinity, it means like this is what we found: 0.9999, 0.9998, 0.99995. Okay. So if you want to calculate exactly the gain, not ideal, yeah, this is what the equation you need. So you need to know the input resistance written in the datasheet of that op-amp. Ro you find from datasheet also of that op-amp. The AO also you find from the datasheet of the op-amp. So this value usually will not be 0. Okay, these terms. So the V output over Vs will not be 1. Okay, that is non-ideal op-amp. So this is in real op-amp. See, the buffer gain here is not 1. Instead, it will be 0.999 or less than 1 because AO is not infinity. Ideal op-amp assumption yields excellent approximation. Regardless, but it is almost the same, right? Only very small difference. So throughout this chapter, we will use this ideal op-amp assumption to solve the circuit analysis. Yeah, otherwise it will be too complex, right? Here, yeah, not that complex, but it will require more time for you to solve it. So why use voltage follower or unity gain buffer? I guess I have explained before. If without buffer, there will be this RS, yeah, resistance, series resistance in that wire, which will cause a drop in the voltage because of voltage drop here with the value of I times RS. Okay, so the V output here will not be equal to the Vs. But if you have a unity gain buffer, the V output here will be equal to the V in here. Okay, so V output here will be equal without buffer. V output will be equal to Vs minus IRS because of the long wire. When wire itself has resistance, except if you use superconductor, but no superconductor is yet to be sold as a practical wire for home appliances. So the source supplies power. Yeah. However, when you have buffer here, yeah, based on the Thevenin theorem, yeah, the the voltage here will be equal to the Vs, right? Since this has a very high input impedance, so no voltage drop. Yeah. So the V source, the V in here will be equal to the Vs. So V out will be equals to Vs as well. No voltage drop. So you will use a lot of this buffer in biomedical instrumentation, especially when you don't want any signal loss due to the wiring. The source supplies no power. It only supplies the signal, the information. The voltage follower acts as a buffer amplifier. The voltage follower isolates one circuit from another, the left part from the right part. This is usual if the source has very little power. You don't want any power to be drawn from the source. Well, in reality, of course, there is, because again the gain is not 1. There is some 0.99 something, but it is close to 1. If you don't use any buffer at all, there will be much voltage drop due to this IRS. Okay, let's do some example here. Determine the gain G of V out over Vs, V out here over Vs. We have now a resistance in the feedback, in the negative feedback. Yeah, this is inverting circuit as well, because the V output is fed back to the inverting terminal by R connected with R2, not zero resistance anymore, and there is also R1 connected to the input. The positive terminal is connected to the ground. So here, from here, V plus will be equal to 0 because it is connected to the ground, to the reference signal. Yeah. Since A is infinity, according to the ideal of an assumption, V plus will be equals to V minus. So V minus here equals to 0. Okay. So this point, this node is 0. This node voltage is 0 because according to the ideal of M assumption, this node equals to this node, to the ground reference. So Ri is infinity, so there is no current flowing from this node towards op amp, no current also flowing from the ground towards the positive terminal, right? Because Ri is infinity. This is ideal op amp assumption, be careful. So I negative is also 0. So we can use Kirchhoff current law, nodal analysis at this node, at this V minus, okay? Vs, this is current in, Vs minus 0, because V minus equal to 0, divided by R1, plus V output minus V minus, which is 0, minus 0, divided by R2 equals to 0. Yeah, Kirchhoff current law. So from here, we can derive V output over R2 equals to negative Vs over R1, right? V output divided by Vs equals to negative R. negative R2 divided by R1. So this is the game. R2 divided by R1. Let's examine without the assumption of ideal op-amp. This part. We use this example develop opposite to determine op-amp discrete using the linear model. So this part, this is the op-amp nodes, V minus, V plus, and V output and the ground. We redraw the circuit, cutting out the op-amp, this one, and draw the components of linear op-amp on circuit of step 2. So like this, we draw, this is the input impedance, Ri, right? This will be, at the output will be the output impedance connected to the voltage dependent voltage source, A times V plus minus V minus. Then we redraw it again like this, okay, the same here. So this is the non-ideal case. So in this case, more complex, right? If you use node analysis at this one, V1 minus Vs over R1, V1 minus 0 over divided by Ri plus V1 minus V output divided by R2 equals to 0. Then at this node, V output minus V1 over R2 plus V output minus AVE here over R0, RO. So the control variable here, AVE in terms of the node voltage, VE equals to this one, V1, negative V1, okay? VE is in this part, equals to, in terms of the node voltage, because this is negative, this is positive, yeah? This is inverting the input terminal, and this is non-inverting input terminal from the previous circuit picture. So VE equals to minus V1. So then we can replace this minus AVE with plus AV1. So this is what we obtain the matrix in the matrix form. Yeah, you see, it is more complex. So VI the output equals to one over the determinant multiply by this. Then you obtain, this is the determinant, this is the V output. So V output over Vs will be equals to this one minus R2 over R1 divided by 1 plus minus these terms. So very complex, right? But when A is known to be infinity, when A is typically very large, 100 of 1,000, Ri is, where is Ri? Ri is this one, this is Ri. Is very large also. Ro is very small. Ro is here. So you will obtain V output over Vs negative when R1 is 1 kilo ohm, R2 is 5 kilo ohm. Yeah, in ideal op-amp, the gain will be 5. But non-ideal op-amp, this is the value, minus 4.996994. This is the ideal op-amp when we assume A to be infinity and Ro to be 0 and Ri to be infinity. You will obtain V output over Vs will be minus 5 in the previous slide. So you see that the difference is not that much. So for most calculation, we can use ideal op-amp assumptions, unless if you really need to calculate with very high accuracy, then you will need to use the non-linear solution with this one, the non-ideal case. Okay, using the complete circuit model. Okay, I think that will be all for today because time is already up.